Stefans Grové, internationally known composer, writer, critic. His works have been performed in America, England and Europe, and he has won high acclaim in capitals of the world. Stefans Grové is a man of contrast, and it is reflected in his approach to music. He has a very strong interest in music of the past, and yet his own compositions vibrate with energy in the quest of discovering new roads of music. In the South African context, his individuality is clearly illustrated in his expressive music, as against Arnold van Wyck's impressionist style and Hubert du Plessis' romantic, highly chromatic tonal music. Stefans Grové shows craftsmanship in his compositions, polished probably by his keen interest in past styles. Yet, in his maturity, he remains original and true to himself. His music carries no echo of Africa, nor is there a marked influence by other composers, past or present. As a composer, he stands alone, and as a person, he is known for his individuality.
I went to him to ask him if he didn't know of an alternative harmonization for Psalm 18. We needed it for the choir. He said he didn't know of it, and he asked me to sing for him the psalm the way we sing it in the choir. I didn't know why he needed it. So in half an hour's time, I came back to the class, and he asked me to stay after the class. And then he gave me a choral prelude composition he made of Psalm 18.
During the late 1940s, it was my privilege to be closely associated with Stefans Grové through the SABC, to which I was attached at that time. I remember very well the amazing fluency and ease with which he, as a young man, could compose vocal music in the difficult 17th century contrapuntal style. In fact, I still possess one of those early compositions, which I'm very proud of, and I'm sure he had forgotten all about it long ago. I also remember one of his very first chamber works, a trio for string instruments, which received an award and was very highly commended by the adjudicators in a competition for young composers sponsored by the SABC. All of us who knew him then expected great things to come, and we are certainly not disappointed.
Stefans Grové was born on July the 23rd, 1922, in Bethlehem in the Orange Free State. He received his early training from his mother, and later instruction from his uncle, D.J. Roeder, under whom he gained licentiates in piano and organ.
We are both of a very musical family. Without doubt, my mother had the most influence on Stefans's musical life. Shortly after birth, he lay next to the piano while my mother gave music lessons. His interest in music was so great at a very early age that he exchanged his bicycle for a gramophone and records. Sunday afternoons he regularly listened to classical music on the radio.
From about the age of 4, I started improvising on the piano, but it wasn't until I was about 6 when my mother started giving me lessons, and later on one of my uncles took over. I studied with him for about 22 years, only piano playing and organ, but as far as composition was concerned, I had to do it all by myself. I started from about the age of 6 composing. At the beginning mostly imitative work, mostly in the key of F, but gradually I developed. So by the age of 22 I went to the University of Cape Town, where for the first time I received lessons from Professor Bell, who was a wonderful influence in my life.
Stefans Grové's years in America must have meant a great deal to him. I feel it is very necessary for any musician to spend some time absorbing influences in other parts of the world to get beyond his own area of influence. Mr. Grové had the opportunity of working with the composers Walter Piston and Aaron Copland, two of the world's most renowned composers and teachers of music theory. In America, he had the stimulating influence of the Peabody College and of Harvard University, where he encountered some of the world's best talent. This, of course, must have fertilized his imagination to a great extent. During his stay in America, Mr. Grové produced some very successful compositions. Amongst the highlights are his symphony, which was performed by the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, and his violin concerto, performed by the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, both in the year 1962. On returning from America, Mr. Stefans Grové accepted a post as senior lecturer at the University of Cape Town. This was a temporary appointment. After 1 year, in 1973, he was appointed lecturer in composition at the Toonkunstakademie of the University of Pretoria, where he has been ever since. That will be approximately 10 years now.
Stefans Grové is also a family man. He is married to the former actress Alison Marquardt and has 4 children. The composer believes that stylistic study, the study of works of earlier composers, is necessary to develop a good technique in composition. His involvement in the performance of earlier music, particularly choral and vocal ensemble music, is a direct consequence of this belief. A special category of composition reflects Grové's interest in past styles. This includes the derivative works for keyboard with titles such as Bach, Schumann and Mahler. Up to the age of 18, Stefans Grové imitated various styles as he developed his own expressionism. At 18, he was very interested in the French Impressionists, such as Ravel and Debussy. But after his student days, he became involved in the new classical style. He has a special regard for the music of Hindemith and especially of Stravinsky. And through the years, his own writing became more chromatic.
Basically, there are only 2 musical scales, the so-called diatonic scale and the chromatic. Of the 2, the diatonic is of course the most simple, because it contains only 7 tones, whereas the chromatic scale consists of 11. The diatonic scale sounds as follows. And the chromatic scale the diatonic scale served as the basis for all traditional music, as you can hear from this short demonstration. The chromatic scale derived its name from the old Greek word chroma, meaning color. And since it's much more extended than the diatonic scale, one therefore experiences it as a much more colorful basis for music.
I want to talk to you about the Symphony 1962 of Stefans Grové. As the name indicates, he wrote the work in 1962, and it's one of his biggest orchestral works. It is a serious work, and we find several of the characteristic features of his music in this work. For instance, his love of polyphony, that's to say, of many strands of melody going together. When we listen to this example, you will hear how there are 3 or 4 different voices, all having their own music going simultaneously. So let's listen to this excerpt now, please.
Stefans Grové is not only a composer. Apart from articles and reviews in musical publications, he also wrote a number of short stories. His first book, a series of sketches and autobiographical anecdotes, appeared in 1975, titled Oor Mense, Diere en Dinge.
I've been active now for quite some time as an author as well as a composer, and I feel this correlation being very strong. Some of my musical pieces have been derived from some of my short stories or stage pieces, and also the reverse. I would say they share the same basic elements, namely the very strong dramatic element, with some comical things, of course, mixed in with it, and on the other hand, a tremendous nostalgia.
Grové's Tweespalt, a piano work for left hand only, is based on the short story The Young Woman in Ward F12, a schizophrenic case. The work has 2 main elements: peacefulness, revolving around B flat, and nervous hysteria, depicted in the lower register.
I feel a cat against my legs. I hear his purring. Come, kitty cat, let me see you. There's the leg again, hanging from the ceiling. The red sock and the green shoe. Kitty cat, where are you? Ah, there you are. Why are you smelling at the wall? Touch me with your little wet nose instead.
Contrary to the practice of many other composers to compose at the piano, I feel much happier to do it at this desk, because I've been blessed with a rather accurate ear, and I can really visualize all the sounds that I put down on paper. Orchestral music, piano music, vocal music, such as this historic opera which I composed for KPAD, was composed entirely here.